Okay, what this is, a workshop?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can't see. Oh, boy, I can't. The Franklin County Board of County Commissioners is now back in session. It's the workshop.
Okay, Commissioner, so basically, we're here today, a workshop, in workshop settings to discuss, first, Alligator Point, parking and beach access issues. And then we move on to St. George Island and talk about parking and traffic issues on St. George Island Beach. So that's the two items today. Originally, there was a planned discussion to have about TDC and 1 cent sales tax. The TDC board is not meeting at the moment, so it makes no sense for us to meet to forward information to them, and they're not meeting. So when they schedule again, they will let me know, and then we could discuss that discussion. I'm sorry, rescheduling that discussion some other time. So I think right now the discussion here is, and I'll turn over to Commissioner Bolt, I guess, to lead that discussion in Alligator Point and what him and his constituents. Oh, I'm sorry, no, we gotta do public comments first. I apologize. No, we gotta do that first. I'm so sorry. And then after that, we can go to Commissioner Bolt and he could start a discussion about, I think the access points are the big argument, if I'm not mistaken, sir. Correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. So I'm just going to go down, rather than activate the session, I'm just going to go and unmute one at a time and see if they have comments for the board or not. Okay? So the first numbers.
Public comment?
Okay, yes, sir. So the first number I'm going to unmute that's called it first, it was, it's a 653-6936, 653-6936. I've unmuted your call. Do you have comments for the board today?
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon. Please, would you state your name for the record and know that you have 3 minutes with your comments for the board, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. This is Pierce Withers, and I'm a lifelong resident of the Forgotten Coast here in Alligator Point. I just want to say thanks for hosting this workshop today, and I hope it can be a turning point for the relationship between Alligator Point community and our county government. We really appreciate y'all taking time out of your busy schedules to do this. I'd also like to invite each member of the commission to please come visit us on Alligator Point. There are many of us over here who are anxious to have a better working relationship with y'all. And again, thank you for hosting the workshop this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, is that it for your comments, Mr. Withers?
Yes, sir. I'm sure my neighbors will have lots to say, so I just want to make way for them.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for your comments. Have a good afternoon. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next number I'm going to unmute, it's area code 303-956-8951. 956-8951. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hold one second. I got it. Sir, can you speak a little bit louder? Because I'm up at maximum volume. We could barely hear you, sir.
Is this any better?
Oh, yes, sir. That's a lot better. And state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. And thank you for scheduling this meeting and hosting the meeting. My name is Mike Booters, and my wife and I are full-time residents of Alligator Point. If you look at my question or my statement is as follows, and I have one question. If you look at the dedications and the plats for Alligator Point, access to the beaches is for what's described as the public. The public is defined as property owners, their guests, including people legally renting property from an owner of a property on Alligator Point. The general public are those other than property owners and Alligator Point and their guests, Alligator Point residents and their guests. The general public was granted access to the road in 2001 when the walkovers were built, giving access to the beaches and the general public and not just the public or the property owners. Respectfully, I have a request of the county attorney. And that request is, does the county have any documentation outlining the legal basis for granting access to the beaches at Alligator Point to the general public when the dedications and the plats seem to indicate that access to the beaches are only for the public or the property owners and their guests, and the general public access is only to the roads. And the second part of the request is, can the county attorney provide any documentation showing the legal basis for acquiring the property from property owners to create general public access walkovers in 2001?
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to respond now?
Well, you know, what you wanna do.
I want to follow the directions of the board.
Go ahead.
The only, I mean, typically when we're in a workshop fashion, we don't necessarily do a Q&A, but in this case, the dedication of the beaches and the roads to the public, oh, I'm sorry, was it not coming through? Is based on the plats themselves. So there is no other separate dedication that I'm aware of other than the dedication that's contained in the recorded plats.
You hear that, sir?
Right.
As far as this distinction between the general public versus public, I'm not being disrespectful, but I can't support that as a legal position of the county, because the public is a known term of art, and it would include not only the property owners at Alligator Point, their guests and their invitees. It would include the general public, the public. I mean, there's no distinction between the two categories of entities. So if someone from, I don't know, Alabama, Wisconsin, UK, anywhere, came to Franklin County and went to one of these public beaches, just like you have a public beach on St. George Island or public beaches throughout the state of Florida, they would be entitled to access onto the public property, across those boardwalks, to do walkovers to the extent that they exist, and use those to access onto the public beaches.
No, I understood. I'm just wondering, it seems when you look at those dedications that are in the plats, as you indicated, there is a distinction between the public and the general public. And it seems that the public is defined as the residents of Alligator Point, as well as their guests, rental, otherwise. And the general public is defined as everyone else, which only is granted access to the road. So that is the point that I was trying to make a distinction about. And I'm just wondering if there is a basis back in 2001 where those walkovers were built, which obviously gives access to the general public to the beaches.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, some of the plats at Alligator Point are in fact private beaches. The platted lots run all the way down to the water's edge. And I'm afraid I don't remember all the plat numbers as far as, unit number or whatever. But some of those plats at Alligator Point, in fact, are private beaches, and the general public or the public are not allowed onto those private beaches any more than, the public is allowed onto my private property at my house in Appalachia unless I give them permission to be there. Other plats do have general public beach access and public beaches, and those are the beaches which I am referring to. I'm not referring to any of the private beaches at Alligator Point, which are generally defined excuse me, we had to grab a quick bite to eat. The private beaches are those lots that run all the way down to the water's edge. And part of that property that runs down to the water's edge would include what we refer to as a sandy beach. Other plats, the lots stop short of the water's edge, and then there is a beach that is designated in between the water's edge and the seaward boundary of those platted lots. And those are the areas that I'm referring to as public beaches and public beach accesses. Those public beach access ways are in fact the platted streets that lead onto the public beach.
Okay, sir, so.
So what you just said, one
Time
follow-up
up,
question
sir.
there.
I'm sorry, sir?
Oh, just one follow-up question. So you're
Time up.
basically saying that there's a distinction between some of the plats and the lots that are considered private and others, and those are based upon the unit distinction that are in the plats?
If I understand your description, the answer to that, I think, would be yes, sir. The analogy that I've drawn is to the plats on St. George Island. On behalf of the county, I engaged in years-long litigation in the early 2000s over this exact issue, where you had a beach that was shown on about 5 or 6 miles of the public beach, and those lots were platted landward of the water's edge. So you ended up with a road, and then you had these Gulfront lots, and then between the Gulfront lot and the water's edge was a beach. And that is the case with many of the plats, though not all of the plats at Alligator Point. And in that prior litigation, the court agreed with the county that those beaches were in fact public beaches open for the use of the public. There are other places in Franklin County, for example, in the plantation, where the ownership of the private land runs all the way down to the water's edge and includes an area that we would consider otherwise as a beach, but it is in fact private property. It is not a public beach. So it just depends on the plat that you're looking at and how the plat's drawn, the language and the dedication on the plat.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Your 3 minutes are up,
Thank you.
so I will encourage you to, if you have more questions, to contact Attorney Schuler directly, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. All right, the next number I am going to unmute is 850-799-1259. It is 799-12559. State your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address the board. Again, 799-1259. All right. I will mute that line and move on. Next caller is 850-518-0522. I'm sorry, 850-518-0522.
Next caller is 850-518-0522. I'm sorry, 850-518-0522. Next caller is 850-518-0522. I'm sorry, 850-518-0522.
Yeah, okay, caller, I'm going to mute you back. You have, and anyone that wants to address the board, you have to turn down the live feed. That's a 7-second delay, and that'll just cause an echo and a repeat. So I'll come back to the 518-0522. I'm going to go to 850-653-6782, 653-6782. I've just unmuted your call. State your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to address the board.
Good afternoon. This is Barbara Sanders, a resident of St. George Island, and I appreciate the difficulties you have in Alligator Point that I think are different from the ones on the island. I wanted to offer any services in the future if you decide to amend your ordinance, your parking ordinance. As Mr. Schuler just pointed out, we have different beach access issues on the island and alleys between every platted lot in the old subdivisions. I want to make sure we are not misunderstanding about public beach being anything from mean high water into the water, no matter what property is in front of that. So technically everything in the state of Florida is public beach from mean high water. And I think it's a good thing to allow people access to the beach, and I would encourage you not to prohibit access to the public for the beaches. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call.
Thank you.
Next caller is area code 720-292-6104. 720-292-6104. Good afternoon. State your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Susan Booters. I live at 1407 Alligator Drive with my husband, Mike. I wanted to thank you for this opportunity. My comments are pretty simple. I actually wrote a piece on the Nextdoor site on Sunday night, and I explained that it's my belief that we're not speaking about multiple individual actions that are occurring on the point that need to be separately addressed. I believe what has been happening for the last several years and is steadily worsening is that we have a very small community that is continuously inundated with hundreds and hundreds of people on any given day. And we don't have any type of infrastructure or safety net that can effectively and safely handle what is happening. Certainly not for the property owners, and most definitely not for the day trippers, as we refer to them. Specifically, those issues include walkovers, trash, parking, human waste, canine waste, trespassing, and theft. As residents and property owners, we and our guests should be able to park at our own beach walkovers. We should not be forced to pick up the trash left daily by non-residents. We should be able to feel comfortable that strangers are not parking in our homes, using our properties as bathrooms, or that visitors are using our outdoor showers or turning on our outdoor spigots and leaving them running, and that's been sometimes for months. We should be able to walk our beaches without being afraid of stepping in human or canine waste, and we should not be afraid of the onslaught of vehicles that are constantly experiencing down here. I believe that what we're actually experiencing, guys, is a public safety issue, and it should be pursued as such. Our community is exposed to constant trespassing, theft, waste, excrement, and even like verbally abusive altercations with daily visitors, most of whom are driving in from neighboring Leon and Wakulla counties. And as a matter of fact, while I was writing my notes just to talk to you, I received a message that we had an attempted break-in 4 doors down from here. My personal belief is that the parking facilities that have been placed in the residential communities should be closed to the general public. And in the future, that Franklin County, if they should choose to create the public parking and permanent parking facilities at the KOA that has been previously discussed, then at that time, invite the general public to return. Now, as for the residents of Alligator Point, the county would then have the responsibility to clean up trash, clean bathrooms, remove vehicles, deal with theft, deal with vandalism, and the trespassing that constantly occurs. And then those county responsibilities will no longer be put on the backs of the Alligator Point residents, as it has been for years. So I'm begging each of you to please make the necessary changes that we need to protect our homes, our lives, and our lifestyles here on the Point. And I just thank you so much for this opportunity and appreciate that you did this kind of forum for all of us to be able to speak to you about what's happening down here. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your call. I'm going to try and go back to that one, and if I hit somebody already talk, you guys correct me. I think it was the 850-799-1259. Caller 799-1259. Did you speak already, or was this the one with a problem in the lines? 799-1259. Okay. Oh, I lost that too. All right, commissioners, that's it. Wait, I'm sorry. Nope, there's one more. I apologize. It's a 850-518-0522. 850-518-0522. Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address the board.
Betty Cummins, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I'm a full-time resident of Alligator Point, and I first of all would like to thank Sheriff. Can you hear me? Excuse me, I need to. Full-time resident of Alligator Point.
Ms. Cummins, could you turn down your TV, please?
First of all, yes, I did. First of all, I would like to thank Sheriff A.J. Smith and his deputies for their enforcement on Alligator Point in the midst of overwhelming circumstances during this COVID pandemic. Thank you, AJ and deputies. Secondly, Alligator Point is at increasing risk of COVID exposure because of its close proximity to Wakulla and Leon counties, where COVID infection rates are much higher than Franklin County, and where most of the day trippers causing problems on the beaches and residential areas on the Point are coming from. Franklin County receives no benefit, financial or otherwise, from continuing to encourage day trippers who live in Wakulla and Leon counties to use beaches on Alligator Point and our small neighborhoods where accesses are very close to our houses and family homes. The Franklin County Commission is responsible for protecting Alligator Point's residents from the associated health and safety risks posed by day trippers coming from Wakulla and Leon counties. Please protect us. Secondly, the county commissioners need to understand that ABSTA does not represent many of the residents on Alligator Point. Only a very small percentage of residents are ABSTA members. ABSTA often makes decisions without prior notification or consent of the Alligator Point community at large. For instance, the commissioners probably remember when an ABSTA leader tried to promote getting Alligator Point annexed to Wakulla County against the will of a majority of the Point residents. At the public meeting on that annexation issue held in the county commission room, the commissioners listened to the residents and upheld the community desire to stay in Franklin County. The commissioners promised that in the future, Alligator Point would be represented by the county commission and not ABSTA. Please keep that promise and stop deferring to ABSTA. Give Alligator Point the help we need. As a small residential community, Alligator Point is not equipped to handle the ever-increasing number of day trippers who are descending on Alligator Point from Wakulla and Leon counties. The day trippers are negatively affecting the quality of life on the point. We are experiencing a public health and safety issue that requires solutions at the county level. Please help us.
Thank you, Ms. Betty. Thank you so much, and have a good afternoon. Thank you for calling. I've picked up maybe two more. Let me try and look at these. I'm unmuting 770-331-5640. Good afternoon.
Hi, yes. My name is David Lapoli. How are you?
I'm well, sir. You stated your name, so you have 3 minutes to address the board, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. I've been a resident or vacationer down, and I have multiple properties down at Alligator Point. There's definitely a growing day tripper population that is coming down there, which I actually find, as additive to the value of the county and the community and also the overall environment at Alligator Point. The biggest problem is that we just don't have the resources from a parking capability. As a matter of fact, I was down last weekend. I live in Atlanta, but have a house on Mardi Gras Way. Someone has blocked off 4 or 5 of the spots at the S-curve. I don't know what rights they have to do that, but, I assume that maybe people were using that parking at the S-curve as permanent parking spots, or maybe there was, as a legacy, it was a permanent parking or available parking spots, and now maybe someone owns the property. But the fact of the matter is that the resources are not in the community to facilitate the onslaught of people that are coming to the area. It's really that simple. So, in lieu of the county not having any money, in lieu of Alligator Point consistently being on the bottom of the totem pole for resource spending and infrastructure spending, I would really hope the board would take under advisement a way to either offer community pass parking and have that enforceable, and certainly in upcoming budgets allocate more money for us to facilitate parking and have safety and security out at the point. And I appreciate your listening.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too, sir. Thank you so much. Next call I'm going to unmute will be 850-228-6675. 850-228-6675. Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address the board.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Leanne Hewitt. My family has owned our house on Chip Morrison Drive, corner of Alligator Drive and Chip Morrison, right directly to the west of the first public access at the water tower. And we've owned it since my great-grandfather built it in the 40s. We have seen an increase as everyone else. Over the years, we've had multiple people throw trash in the yard, come up in the yard, mistake our driveway for the public access, so to speak. And when the boardwalks were built, the boardwalk that runs down actually did not follow the plat lines and is running straight. I know my mom had sent an email to the commissioners, I believe, last week, with knowing that all of this was being discussed, and in the hopes of rerouting it so it is accurately on that, quote, 50-foot access point, or just remove it in general. I know being there this past weekend, the third access point all the way down at the S-curve has been removed. That boardwalk has been taken down. But knowing that this boardwalk is on our actual property concerns us. It is in bad shape. We've seen people struggle. We deal with the trash. We deal with people coming in the yard to urinate and taking advantage of our beautiful coastline. So we appreciate you guys listening to us. We hope to come to a resolution for everyone down at Alligator Point. It's our happy place, and we want to keep it beautiful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call. And Commissioner, that was the last person on the list, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So, and for the callers that may be holding, I'm going to disconnect the phone calls. I ask that you all switch to the live feed for the rest of the workshop. Thank you and have a good afternoon.
I needed, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
You know, I've been listening and I hear your concern, but some of your talk is, you've been misformed. You're on the bottom of the list, so we taking y'all last. I've been on that boat 16 years and I done seen about $8 or $9 million we spent down there just for you to get to your house. I know you need parking and everything, but on that road we done spent, since I've been on this boat, maybe 10, pretty close to 10. So I don't call that being left out. And we try to help, and we'll be helping in the future. But we not the bad guys here.
I guess you turn it over to Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to emphasize that the recent concerns about public access to the access points on Alligator Drive has accentuated due to the surge of folks returning from quarantine relative to COVID virus. And we saw a tremendous strain of the resources of our county relative to these beach access areas. We've seen abuse of parking to the point that we've strained our sheriff resources in trying to manage all that parking issue. We've also seen the issue of trash accumulating beyond the capacity of the receptacles that are there. We've seen the issues of human waste and animal waste indiscriminately across the beaches. We've seen a great deal of concern of people trespassing through obvious residential property right onto the beaches. And I took a tour with a sheriff deputy one day in my car. He sat in the passenger side and I drove. So it was pretty obvious that I was recognized as a civilian. And I drove the entire length of the point, particularly in the beach access areas, and noticed the massive humanity that was walking along a very crowded road of Alligator Drive with cars, indiscriminate parking, and particularly I was noticing how many people had no situational awareness whatsoever of what was around them in terms of cars or bicycles or golf carts of any kind. We're also seeing the development of the multi-use pathway coming along there at Alligator Point. Again, another wonderful structure, but also another factor to which has to be reckoned with. One of the issues that I think is probably the biggest issue in this entire conversation is that the resources of this particular community is being strained beyond the capacity of those public resources. I'm referring to the fact that these public accesses to the beaches not only are controversial about who owns what, private property versus county, but the fact that they just simply are being used far beyond their capacity. I also want to recognize that we now have State Ballpoint Park, well-established, well-designed, with facilities for the public. That's right there on the other side of Alligator Point. And it seems to me that relative to the fact that we now own as a county 30 acres of property, that term known as the old KOA, and we have some plans to develop up to a 100 parking space facility with bathrooms and a beach in that area as a future, and I think it's probably closer than we think. I would like to propose that we consider, and I'd like to have conversation and feedback, that we consider closing the public beach accesses that are mentioned here today at Alligator Point, diverting the public to the state park with a big emphasis on focusing on designing a future beach access at Alligator Point focused at the 30-acre property that we feel is designed for the future purpose of beach access at Alligator Point. You know, after time, certain things just become obsolete, and these beach access facilities are really becoming less user-friendly. And we have an example of all of that we've heard about today, and we've all known about that. So I'd like to just talk about what you think about that idea of closing the access points for now at Alligator Point. And certainly we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on building that 100-spot parking place, part of which I'm going to be talking to Representative Schoaf about in the future.
Oh,
what are your thoughts?
You're talking to the board, right?
Yeah, in general, just getting conversation.
Well, my opinion, we can't close the public access. We cannot close the public access. I mean, it belongs to the public. That's not a private beach. It'd have to be private for us to. It's public, so the county can kind of have a problem if we close that.
Well, you say, I would say close it, but continue the sentence with the accelerated plan of building a new exchange for all of that. The spirit of which we own that 30 acres there at KOA, and we're going to move to get a replacement for what we're closing. We're not just going to close and walk away.
We don't know how long it's going to be before we.
No, we don't.
So I can't do that. I mean, you know.
But we just have such a strain right now.
That's part of life, really, on the beach. I mean, it's train ain't gonna get out there in the wintertime. That's what they use it for. And that's happening all over the world, all over the state, the world, and everything else. I mean, we just can't go in there and close down because of complaints, and it's public. We can't do that.
Okay.
It's against the law. I mean, we can try to put something faster to get some more parking or something down there, but I don't.
In the interest of demonstrated public safety and health, we seem to have an obsolete problem of beach access right there. It's such a concentrated area. It seems to me that closing those beach accesses is frankly making us a hero at the present time, because we are really preserving people's safety and health at this point in time.
No, you looking at it one way, I'm looking at
Yeah.
it another way.
Mhm.
If we close that, we gonna be cussed out worse, because they gonna start walking across some people's private property. You seeing, just close it, that's not gonna, the problem gonna still be there. They not gonna stop coming down there. And then they gonna cross, and when they cross somebody's private property, gonna be a problem. Then they'll say, well, this wouldn't have happened if the county commission had left that thing open. That's the way I see it. I don't know about, what about y'all?
And couldn't we put signage as the public is arriving onto Alligator Drive, that they turn left there at Ball Point Drive and head over to the facility that was designed for that purpose, and the other beaches to the west are now closed?
The way I see it, Commissioner Bolt, you're gonna have, the biggest problem you're gonna have if you try to close something like that, either which way, it's an enforcement issue. So right now, you're enforcing, or trying to enforce where there are too many parking in the wrong space, but they have some places they can park.
Mhm.
Well, if you shut it completely down, you gotta come through and get everybody out, because you ain't gonna stop them from coming down the road. That's the problem. You're not gonna stop them from coming down a county road. And you can try to redirect traffic to the state park down there, but they charge an entry fee. I mean, you know, it's difficult whichever way you go. I'm not saying I'm not supportive of what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I am saying you would compound the issue because, well, I might as well just go ahead and say it now. We could create 2,000 more parking spaces on St. George Island. We're still gonna have an enforcement issue.
I see.
It still boils down to enforcement. If you have dedicated places to park and people are parking outside of those places, that is an enforcement issue. Doesn't matter what you boil it down to, that's the way it is. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm kind of in between, but I do agree with the chairman.
Okay.
You're not gonna stop people from coming down there. But then if you try to shut them all down, then now all of them are an enforcement issue. Everyone that comes down there. Because you ain't got enough tow trucks in this county to do that. I mean, furthermore, do you want to be towing everybody that comes in to Alligator Point? I mean, I just think that's an issue.
Mr. Chairman, how about if we put a gate across that road just south of Ball Point and let them make that a private community on Alligator Point, like the plantation on the island? Now, having said that, the citizens of Alligator Point will be responsible for all the roads, all the infrastructure, everything, just like the plantation on the island. They would be responsible for that. You'd have to abandon the county road, everything. And then they would take care of everything themselves.
Because you don't get in the plantation unless you have a.
I can't go in there, you can't either.
No, you can't just drive in there.
But we don't have to go in there with county equipment and fix roads. We don't have to go in there and do none of that. but they take care of themselves. They have a homeowners association. That's basically what Alligator Point would have to do. Set up a homeowners association, everybody pays into it, hire their own security guard to man the gate, and then you don't have nobody going down there. And I think that's the bottom line. Nobody wants nobody down there. I mean, that's the bottom line
No,
that
I
I've
think the
always
bottom
taken
line-
from this is nobody's ever been, that I've heard at Alligator Point, is welcome with open arms. It's always an issue. We don't want nobody. I know we talked about and we've asked twice for the board of, what's the name of the board for the cabinet, Florida cabinet, to give us that old FSU Marine Lab to have a place to launch boats for them oyster leases and all. Well, the first reply we got back was, we don't want them people coming down our road with them boats and launching it. They don't want nobody down there. They say they do, but everything you hear from the citizens is it's an issue anytime somebody comes down there. It's an issue, whether it's parking, urinating where they're not supposed to. In other words, it sounds like to me they don't want nobody down there but the homeowner or their invitees. And that's the way it works on the plantation. If somebody that lives there calls the guard gate, says, I got somebody coming to see me, this is their name, let them in, then they get to go in. I mean, you can't just drive up there, or Commissioner Bolton, and say, I'm a commissioner of Franklin County, I want to, no, it don't work that way. It don't work that way. If a homeowner ain't called and put your name in the hat, then you don't get to go down there. Other than that, I feel like the chairman, why shut down public property that the public can no longer walk on? I understand the trash issues. I understand people trespassing on private property. That's a whole nother ball game. You need to call somebody and get the law down there and lock them up. They're trespassing on private property. If they're parking and blocking your private driveway, just like I said in a former public meeting, if somebody comes to my house and pulls up in my private drive and blocks me where I can't get to my house, first thing I'm gonna do is pick up the phone and call somebody to come get them out. You know, I mean, some of these things there's laws against some of these things that are going on. You gotta call and report it, expect somebody to respond to it. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you get to parking on public right-of-ways, if we're gonna stop that, then they can't park on public right-of-ways on St. George Island either. And we built all these dune walkovers, as I said in a previous meeting. You can't stop people from parking on the right-of-way in Alligator Point for public access and not stop the people on the island. But they've been there for 10 or 15 years. I haven't heard of a bunch of problems on St. George Island. People park where they can. If there ain't no more parking there, then they don't park there. They go to the next dune walkover or back to a public beach. Or you just don't park where you ain't got access to park, you know. I don't know what the end result can be other than put a gate up and say there's no more beach access from this point forward. The only beach access from Alligator Point is going to be at Ball Point. But then you're blocking people from publicly owned lands. You know, how do you do that? Not block the people on St. George Island from publicly owned lands and all those dune walkovers. You can't have it both ways. You know, you can't have a set of laws for this and a set of laws for these people. And there's way more traffic on St. George Island than there is at Alligator Point. From people renting places, you know, houses, motel rooms, restaurants, and you don't have any of that in Alligator Point. That's a whole nother ball game because they don't have a store. There's nothing there for the public. And I don't think they want anything there for the public. They want things there for the residents, but not the public, which is day trippers. And, you know, you have a lot of day trippers to the island too, but, you know, they come and they go. A lot of day trippers to Apalachicola. They come and they go. When we had fireworks, they would come here for fireworks display, and then poof, we don't have no place for 3,000 people to sleep in Apalachicola. So they come in as a day tripper, and then they go out, back to Tallahassee, back to wherever they come from. Liberty County, a lot of surrounding counties come down here to get next to the water, but then they turn around and they go back home. So that's just really the basis of the economy. But in Alligator Point, you don't really have an economy because there's nothing for them there to do. There's no stores, there's nothing, there's no restaurants, there's nothing other than the residents, which compounds the problem because people make day trips here, but there's nothing there for them to do, you know. There's no economic activities or anything like that other than renting a house and staying overnight. So I don't know what the answer is to the problem. It is an enforcement nightmare, and I understand that. How do we address that? I don't know, and I agree with the chairman's comment to say that we don't put resources down to Alligator Point. We're still waiting to put resources down there. We're being held up by FEMA and everything else, but in the meantime, it blows out 3 more times before we can ever get it fixed the first time. But we keep working at it and doing the best we can with it, but I don't see any other alternative. Put a gate up down there and let them, you know, let the community take care of itself, kind of like they do on the island, and then you ain't got to worry about nobody coming down. But as long as it's a public road, then they got the right to drive down it. That's the difference in a public road and a private road. If it's a private road, you don't have that ability. If it's a public road, it's for the public, whether you want them or you don't want them. If it's a public road, it's a public road, as the chairman said earlier. So I don't know. And how many acres do we actually have that we bought from the KOA? Commissioner Bolt keeps referring to 30 acres. There's not 30 acres there.
No, sir, it's closer to 7.5.
Okay. And I'm all about, you know, we've talked about putting a parking area there. There is no beach there. It's all eroded out along with the road. So we're talking about putting parking area there, and I'd put a restroom there too. But now you're encouraging these visitors. Is that really what the community wants? Or you want to encourage, but where do visitors go when they get there? Because there is no beach there. How do they get back to these public accesses? If they park here, how do you get back to where you really want to go? And how does that stymie the, you know, if they're on the beach and they got to walk 4 miles back to where the car is to use the restroom, are they really going to do that? Or is somebody going to create a golf cart shuttle to shuttle these people back and forth from the accesses to the restrooms? I mean, how does all this work? Even if you develop that, does the community really want to develop a central parking area? I don't know, because all I ever hear the community say is we don't want nobody down here. From the Oarsmen wanting to launch at the old FSU Marine Lab or anything else. If you don't live here, you don't belong here, basically, is the way I see it. And then you got the human conflict, and I'm sure there's a lot of that with belligerency, people drinking, you know, being accosted by residents there, and you're on my private property. I understand all that. And I don't know. I don't know how to address the issues. I'm like the chairman. I hate to block off public access to the public. If we didn't own it, we wouldn't be dealing with this because it'd be privately owned. When it's publicly owned, how do you block public access to publicly owned property? There's a whole nother issue. I mean, I don't know how to address that. And there's been talk of temporarily blocking. Temporary for what? What is the end goal? What does the community really want down there, and how do they expect us to accomplish their goal or their objective? How do you accomplish that? I don't know. It's a host of problems, but not a real simple solution to it. And you can't just, you know, block the land. That's not a solution to the whole problem. I mean, if we create a parking area, why do you want them to park if there ain't nowhere for them to go? I don't understand. You know, we have, as the county has said, you know, we would put $4 million into beach renourishment in front of where the road is currently blowed out if we ever get the road fixed. And we could get some additional funds through the state and their beach renourishment program to probably put in a $9 million beach there. But we all know it can be washed away overnight. And if there's not a mechanism there, because FEMA has told us now if we build an engineered beach there, beach renourishment, and it gets washed away again, FEMA's only paying for 50% of it. So there has to be a mechanism for somebody to come up with the other 50%. If not, I'm not willing as a commissioner to put a $4 million beach there because it can be washed over in a month, 2 weeks, or tonight if you get bad weather, washes that beach away and there's no mechanism to put it back. Then you're right back where you started, so you've wasted $4 million. I mean, there's a host of issues here that, you know, it ain't like we don't want to put resources into Alligator Point, but it's got to be done in partnership with the community there. And exactly what do they expect? And if you ask some of the people in Alligator Point, well, it's not that we don't want nobody there, but every time this subject comes up, it actually appears that they don't want nobody there. They don't want the day trippers, they don't want the trash, they don't want the problems that come with the people there. So I don't know, without any economic activity down there other than houses, it looks like the plantation to me. There's no economic activities in the plantation itself either. It's just houses and beaches. And that's all there is, but it's all private. So the two mirror each other almost completely to me. I don't know. But I just think closing the beach access is not going to solve the problem. People are still going to come down that public road, which they're entitled to do, from one end to the other. If it's a public road, they're able to drive in there, whether you want them there or whether you don't, whether they hooping and hollering on the way back or the way down and on the way back, or on a public road, so they're entitled to drive on it. So I don't know what the easy solution is.
You just named it.
Well, I mean, no. That's the way I see
You
it.
got to gate it off. That's the only way.
That's the
you're gonna
way
do it.
I see it. That's not the way everybody sees
No,
it.
but I mean, they don't. That's the only way to stop it.
Well, if it's a public road, then you can drive down it. And there's no stopping people from coming. You might, if you close the beach access, that's not gonna stop people from coming.
They still going.
There ain't no telling what they'd do when they get down in there. Some of the people that, now you block the beach access, but it's a public road. What kind of feedback do you get from that? What kind of flashback do you get from that? I don't know.
Commissioner Parrish, the other problem you have is we are in a tourism state, and our economy is a tourist economy. So, yeah, we need to figure some stuff out, but closing it off ain't going, I mean, you know what I mean? That's not gonna go anywhere real fast.
And I don't believe that there's any appetite or sentiment of the folks at Alligator Point wanting to abandon the county or wants the county to abandon them. I know it sounds that way, but we have a whole tapestry here in Franklin County of all kinds of living environments. And I think we need to be very specific about the issues relative to the living environment throughout our entire county. Here is Alligator Point's living environment. They have, in my opinion, obsolete beach access facilities, little narrow pathways that go down to the beach. That with our population growing in the United States and in Florida and our county, those beach access we have seen proven over the last couple of months are just overused beyond their capacity. And I think we need a customized decision focused right there to say, we're going to close these beach accesses for the numerous reasons we've already seen and demonstrated, because they're just out of date and antiquated and cannot accommodate the capacities that are being demanded as we plan on future development of that 7-acre versus 30-acre area of the KOA. And it's not like we're saying to the public, you can't come here. You just go to the state-provided park that has been made for that purpose. We're not saying shut down and don't go anywhere. Shut down, detour, turn to the left, and go to the state park.
But the state-provided park doesn't have a beach.
Sure they do. They've got a couple of them down there.
So you think putting a sign there up at Ball Point saying beach
Well,
would direct people there?
I have to think of what that strategy signage would be, but some way to say that the public access is closed relative to these beach accesses, and right there at that Y, a Ballpoint Road and Alligator Drive, you turn left to go to Ballpoint Road to the public park, where we have a variety of different options of fishing and beaching and bathroom facilities, et cetera. And you know, this is also a big emphasis on how we need to, again, back to the state and that cascade of the issues that the state really needs to help us with for future infrastructure.
You got a plat, Mr. Chairman, you got a plat on there, Ballpoint?
Commissioner, there are a couple of partial plats showing the county access points for public access on Ball Point. I was checking to see if we had a map showing Ball Point State Park. I don't see it on.
Okay. So all those areas are additional public accesses?
On Ball Point, yes, sir. This was an example of what I was telling you earlier, where you have the street system, you have lots and blocks. The lots stop short of the water's edge. Of course, on here, I'm not seeing where the water's edge, so it's a little bit confusing here. It should say Gulf of Mexico, but that's where it
Must
is.
be that line, huh?
Well, it should be a wavy line, not a straight line.
Okay.
In any event, these street ends are what are being shown as public access points. I don't see anything other than this map. It looks like it was created by staff. It doesn't look, that's definitely, that's not the plat of that area. That's not what plats necessarily look like. There's been dedication here, but in any event, these are pedestrian, 5-foot pedestrian easements along Ball Point, very similar to the 8-foot wide easement that you have between the lots and what Ms. Sanders referred to as the old subdivision on St. George Island that goes from 12th Street west to 11th Street east. There, on St. George Island, it's an 8-foot pedestrian easement between each one of those lots, and Ball Point looks like there's some 5-foot pedestrian easements.
Sorry. I figured the mic had enough pickup. Sorry. Is that better?
It's been bumping all along.
Oh, okay, very good. But I do not see on these staff-produced maps, Ballpoint State Park, so I can't show that to you.
Is there restroom facilities at Ballpoint State Park?
Yes.
There is?
Yes, sir.
I have been told, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But see, what I'm thinking, I mean, you wanna think about closing. That'll be just like going down there, telling them people who sell in that lane, tell them to stop selling. Go, what's happening here? A lot of people bought land a long time ago. It wasn't that many people coming down, wasn't that many people coming over. Now, people know it's there. And they gonna come. And as one come, they tell their buddies and more gonna come. Best thing we can do is figure out where we can get some parking, buy some of that land or something, and put some parking space for them and some bathrooms, cause they coming. And it's, as long as it's public. The public coming.
Well, how about Grouper Lane, Tarpon Lane, all of that down there? You'd have to close that too, wouldn't you?
Those are roads over on
That's the
Ball
road
Point.
that runs off from there and it goes in right into the Gulf of Mexico at Mud Cove down there. Every one of them roads has got a way you walk right into the beach.
That's what he's referring to.
Is that on the Gulf right there?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right at Mud Cove. Every one of them streets, smoke, you can walk and you park it, then that walk right
Where's this
straight.
restroom facility?
It's
That's
back
not,
up.
that's not the
I
park.
don't think it goes
That's
far
Ball
enough
Point Road.
into the Ballpoint State Park.
If you close where you was talking about put a gate up, all that would be closed too, right? Rupert Lane, whatever, all them roads named by
Oh, this
fish.
ain't Ballpoint here?
This is
This
Ball
is
Point
Ball
Road.
Point.
Yep. This is, but not the Ball Point State Park. That's the road on the way to the state park.
Oh.
That's residential.
Yes, sir, okay.
Yeah, but them dead end roads, they can
Ballpoint
park
be on
on.
this side. The state lands will be on the
Well, if
left.
that's,
huh?
It'd be further.
yeah, it's going straight, further east.
But wouldn't
Probably
they,
another half a mile is where the park entrance is from there.
they'd still use them roads though, wouldn't they, if you started state park, parking in them, going to the beach?
Oh, you have to close them up too.
Yeah, 'cause they all named after a fish.
Yeah, they're called fish streets.
Yeah, Fish
So
Street.
you would close all those too, Commissioner Bowe?
That's all.
I would. Now, understand, this is not forever. This is just for now, while we develop a proper parking and beach facility in the land we do own there at KOA.
Commissioner Bolt, this not gonna happen. We got to come up with another plan.
But the KOA is miles from this, right?
I understand, it is, yep. See, but that's
So
what
if they
would give
need to
the
use the
diversity, though.
restroom facilities, then they'd have to get back in their car and drive for miles down there to KOA to use restroom.
No. What I'm thinking in the future is that there'll be two public beach facilities. One that we build there at the KOA property that we own as a county, and it has a beach in front of it. And the other one is Ball Point. And everything after that can be completely shut down.
But you
because
said there
we're
was a
providing two-
restroom facility already at Ball Point.
There is state restroom facilities at the state park.
How many miles is that from all these grouper streets?
Oh, I'd say no more than a half mile to 3/4 of a mile.
Is that close enough to accommodate all those fish in?
Well,
Or would all those public accesses now only be utilized by the residents of Alligator Point?
They would be utilized by the residents of Alligator Point when we have good beach facilities for the public.
I don't know.
So you want us to build you want to build public money and make it private for the residents?
No, I just want you to build up to 100 parking places there at our KOA land that we own and have a good bathroom facility there with a beach in front of it. And that's where the people focus right there publicly.
But we're not gonna get to the beach in front of it until we come up with a mechanism to help us rebuild it when it washes all away again.
I understand.
And the people of Alligator Point have resisted that. And I'm not willing to put $4 million in there out of county BP monies to put a $4 million and then get some money from the DEP's department to help put together with our $4 million to build a beach if there's not a mechanism to replace it when it washes away. I mean, to me, that's like throwing $4 million in the Gulf of Mexico. And I don't see no, so when you're talking about building this facility at the old KOA, and I'm not against that, but without a mechanism to help us with this beach, there'll never be a beach in front of it.
Well, the part of the beach is what we build to protect the new rebuilt road.
Okay, that's gonna be a sheet pile.
That will be the road itself, and then seaward of those sheet pile will be a nourished beach that I think
That,
goes 1 mile.
who's building that? FEMA?
No, FEMA is only rebuilding the road.
That's what I'm saying.
But there is considered to be an MSBU that
Right,
we might want
that
to
the people
consider
have
for-
resisted. We've put that to them twice and they don't wanna pay it. So until
we ought to look at
they
that, yeah.
decide to come up with a mechanism to help us keep the beach there, I'm not willing to put that $4 million in. I'm already committed to the $4 million. But I'm not
for the
gonna
road.
continue to be committed if there's not a mechanism, MSBU you're referring to help keep that beach established. And I'm gonna pull my support for that $4 million, because I'm not pouring $4 million to the Gulf of Mexico.
Cause the 35-mile southeaster will wash it out.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So there
FEMA's
has
gonna
to
put
be,
in the $4
there has to be a
million
lot of talking amongst the community of Alligator Point as to how they gonna help the county come up with this other 50% should that engineered beach wash away. How are we gonna come up with the money to put it back? And we've never reached that, because every time we propose a MSBU, well, I shouldn't have to pay it if I live on Ball Point Road because I don't enjoy that beach. Well, if we built one, you might. If we built a 100 parking lot there, 100 space parking lot and a restroom facility and a nice beach, you might come and enjoy it. But some people on Alligator Point don't want to participate in funding that. And other people say, if everybody don't participate, then my share is too much. These are the arguments that we've always got from that. And if all that is not worked out, it ain't as easy as just shutting down the beach access. There's more things that goes along with all this that we've not reached an end point at yet. And I'm committed to vote for that $4 million. I always have been. But I need commitment from the people too. And if the people down there are not willing to do it, then they're just trying to shut off public access to everybody. They're not helping me with a solution, not helping us, not me, us with a solution to this problem. And then you get into don't believe AFTA, because a lot of us don't belong to AFTA. So you're so fractionalized down there. This particular section says we need to do this particular section don't believe in AFTA, and you never can get a consensus of the community because they're not all on the same page. They're all on different pages. And you're the commissioner there, so you ought to know better than me as far as all these different factions. And some people live down there full time. A lot of people just come down once a month to spend the weekend. But they call in here like they're full-time residents, but really they're not. So they're not there every day to help solve this problem. There's only so many people that actually live there that are there to help solve some of these problems. And just like you got the civic club on the island, they need some kind of club down there. You can't back up and just say it's all the government's issue, let the government handle it. There's volunteer organizations on the island and other places that actually get involved and help us come up with a solution, a common goal. So there's a lot of issues down there that the people of Alligator Point need to back up and really look at and say, you know, how can I help? Not how can I bring problems, but how can I help solve some of these problems? And commit to it, because we can't do it all by ourselves, such as the MSBU issue. Somebody's got to get these people together, and they all got to come together with a solution to help this board, help them. They got to help us also, because they live there. Some of them do, Mr. Burt, but then some of them are at such an age they can't get out and do a lot of volunteerism, and you know, and I understand that too, but we've got to have help to come up with a common ground, a common solution. We can't expect the sheriff to put 20 deputies down there every day. I understand that too. But he is the enforcement mechanism, so he's got a role to play also. I don't know if you could take an old deputy car and park somewhere. They do that on the island, you know, just park it there so that it rings in their mind, and there's a sheriff car there. There may be a deputy here. Maybe that's something we could do, you know, to help alleviate some of the problem, but people getting drunk and coming to the beach, I don't know how to solve that problem, you know. And trespassing on private property shouldn't be done at all. I agree with that. I don't want them coming on my property at my house, and I'm sure the people at Alligator Point don't either. And I understand that.
Well, what do we do for relief then, for the issues that are happening at those beach access points?
I tell you what we can do. At the next week, we can vote and start charging the people on Alligator Point a fee, and we can fix some of these problems. That's private down there, that you got private here, you got public here, you got private there, you got public here. Nobody don't wanna step in the middle and say, okay, let's fix this. Everybody wanna be private, but everybody didn't buy private. The public coming from, you got the private here, you got public there, and you got the people coming from here. They coming. Don't go on my beach. That's not your beach. That's not your access. It's not your road. They can park on the side of the road. I know it's hard. They do it every day. I know it, so we got to try to we got to come up with a solution to take care of some of the park. Got to take care of the bathroom. And it's still gonna be a problem because they still ain't gonna want them down there. And when you remember this, when you put that parking down there and you put some more bathroom down there, you gonna bring in more people down there. Because you gonna have places for them to go. Ain't nobody gonna leave this end of town and come to the bathroom on this end. I mean, and we can't close this. We can't close this for this certain and we'll get ready to open it back up. Then they gonna wanna you had to close it. That wherever they going down there, that's gonna cause another problem.
Ask them they wanna be a gated community.
Yeah.
Ask them that. That's about, like Smokey said, that's the only way you're gonna stop it. Once you open the KOA, they going further down instead of stopping up here. They going way on down there then. Instead of stopping up on this end, they going all the way to almost to the end of the point. The KOA's right down there almost to the old boat slip down there.
The Alligator Point Marina.
Yeah, the marina, that's almost
Well,
there
some
too.
of the problems they've
No.
been having has been from the KOA to the marina,
Well,
right?
It's about 2 miles away from the KOA to the marina.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but they going all the way down then, like, there's no beach there, like, they gonna start walking, bringing golf carts, going back and forth.
Some of the issues has been between the KOA and the Alligator Point Marina.
Okay.
On the Gulf side, people parking and people, right?
That's what we're
Right.
talking about now.
Yeah, some of those issues have been right there.
Right there.
And that road is very narrow and it's really eroded away, so there's less property.
And the
The
multi-use
last time I was
pathway
there.
is coming in there, it's gonna make it even more
Is
complicated.
anybody,
So if
on
they
Fish
park at
Lane,
the KOA,
Grumman?
they would walk down there and go down to public beach access to the beach. On some of them. And some of them, they're gonna still go down there and try to park in other people's yards and stuff. Because those lots down there are platted pretty skinny on the Gulf, right?
Yes, and
They're
that's
pretty
another
narrow.
point to try to make. We need to determine what is private property and what is county property relative to those beach access points. That's been unclear. And
They already got it.
now, do you think we have enough clarity here to?
Yes.
To
Mr.
sh-
Chairman,
Go ahead.
this is a study that county staff put together in 2001, identifying public beaches and public beach accesses
in many parts of the county. This is, in particular, shows some areas down to Alligator Point. If I can find this cursor, where's the little hand? That's the KOA property there. There's been substantial erosion. This is the area that's been washed out. And we're trying to waiting on the FEMA funds. I think, as Commissioner Parrish said, we got washed out twice more while we were waiting on FEMA. These are some additional public beach access points further to the west.
Now, is that
These are
the
the issues.
KOA property in the middle that's vacant?
Not there,
Okay,
here.
okay.
That's the old KOA, because that's, yeah. I can't read it outside, sorry, I can't see.
Okay.
But anyway, that's
That's
I have
Tom
a
Roberts
pointer.
Road back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that goes around the washout, right?
Mike, I'm having
That's right.
technical difficulties.
Oh,
The
I'm
little
sorry.
hand keeps disappearing.
Yep.
Anyway,
Okay, so you have to put them out?
yeah, maybe that's, needs a sheet of paper or something to be on, but they need to be flat, you think?
Yeah, let me do a couple things here. Sorry, let's get this out of the way. And so here's the, do you see the hand now?
Yes, I do now.
Oh, this will be great. Yeah, probably better.
Anyway, that's the old KOA property.
Okay.
Where the hand.
What is that other big vacant piece of property you were showing?
The other way, there you, what is
What is
that?
that?
That is a blank space that I don't know how to identify for you.
Is that the old FSU Marine Lab?
Could be, don't know.
Well, it's on the bay side.
That's on the harbor side, that's
Yeah,
correct.
I would say that's probably what that is.
But these, lots here, as you can see, there's Alligator Drive. You have the lots terminate prior to the water's edge. You see this wavy line here, that would be the demarcation line between the mean high water line for the beach and then the Gulf. This would be this area between the lots and mean high tide. The water's edge would be the public beach, and those arrows are pointing to street ends that provide access points between the public road down to the beach.
Now, back up, Michael. If that is the old FSU Marine Lab, are the restroom facilities on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all gated off and not available.
Well, I understand, but
I
if
don't-
we
I don't
acquired
know.
it, Mr. Bird, if we acquired that,
Mhm.
then there would be restroom facilities there.
Yeah,
Looks like
that's-
there would be parking there. And it looks like they could walk across Alligator Drive and access the beach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
They got.
Now, I'm
they
not
got
saying that the
bathroom.
Board of Trustees, basically the cabinet's gonna let us have that, but if they did,
Yeah,
then you could be killing a couple birds with one stone. In other words, you'd have parking off of people's property. You'd have a restroom facility there, supposedly. If not, we could build one. But then you got access. You just come out of there and walk down a little access, and you got access to the beach.
well, you're crossing the busy Alligator Drive.
Well,
But-
I don't consider Alligator Drive to be busy.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, you'd have to cross at your
watch when
own
we see a
peril,
holiday, but
it
I
ain't
see
like
that's
Highway 98
better
or
than
nothing.
nothing.
And Commissioners, this illustrates what I was referring to answer the first caller's question. Here's a beach access point that comes from Alligator Drive down to the beach. To the left, you can see where those platted lots go all the way from the public
down.
road, all the way down to the water's edge. Those are private. On this side of the lot, you can see the lots stop short of the water's edge, and then you have this sandy beach area in between the water's edge and the seaward boundary of the lots. So that would be a good illustration point, because as you're walking here, it doesn't suddenly stop being a beach. Once you get here, it's still a beach, it's just all planted as private property.
I got you.
And then it goes on to provide access points at Bald Point and other areas at Alligator Point, St. Teresa. Well, thought I had it.
And Commissioner Wyatt, Attorney Schuler is looking at that, but I guess my question is what I'm hearing here. The first step, it sounds to me like, how can we get a consensus, like Commissioner Parrish says, of what the majority of the residents in Alligator Point want? Because some people are saying, you know, listen to APTA, others are like, nah, don't trust APTA. Yeah. So how do we get that? How do we go about getting a consensus first of what we think people would agree to? And then, as the county, we could move forward trying to get a solution to that problem. But we have to get a consensus. I mean, I agree with Commissioner Parrish, but, you know, because you after when they put not the bathroom, the porta potties on the access point, because people were complaining that there were no bathrooms. Well, you got residents saying, those are the devil, those are the worst things, get them out of here.
Because you're allowing people now to have access to a restroom, which brings more people.
Yeah, so that's, we gotta get, to me, we gotta get to that step first. Then you could say, okay, county, this is the plan, this is a majority, this is what we wanna do, and we move forward. And obviously, I know you're trying, and you said this to me before, you're trying to use APTA as the lead, but apparently, I'm not sure if that's working out the best for everybody concerned, I don't know. But then you can't have 20 people with 20 different opinions about what we need to do also. That's
true.
That's not working out
I thought
either.
about putting, Michael, not to interrupt you, Mr. Chairman, but I thought about putting porta potties at 2 of those access points. But now I'm hearing they don't want porta potties.
Yeah, Commissioner Bolt could speak to that better than I could.
That's right, yes.
Because they're
They were
ugly,
tried
they're
and-
unsightly.
Yeah.
But it still keeps them from urinating on their property or feces on their property, because you gotta, but then if they are unsightly, then, so, you know.
Yeah, they were
It seems
tried
like every
and
solution
they
you come
failed.
up with, there's a reason why we can't do that solution.
They don't want nobody down there, period.
Different opinions, as we talked earlier about trying to reach a consensus. I don't know that you ever will. It's like trying to reach a consensus amongst fishermen. They're very opinionated. Everybody has their own opinion. I don't think we should do it like this. We ought to do it like that. And you ask 20 people, as they said, you get 20 different opinions. And if you can't reach a consensus to move forward, how do you move forward? That happens with boards too. A lot of times, us 5 don't agree.
Yeah.
Think if you got a board with 20 people on it,
Yeah.
how hard it's going to be to reach a consensus and for the common good. So the more people, like having a public meeting or, trying to get the people Alligator Point together, how you feel about it, every one of them's going to have a difference of opinion, and you can't move forward like that. You have to have some way to have a civic club or some organization that people trust to put forth good goals, protocols, and procedures to move forward. And then they have to bring it to us 5, and we all have to agree. It ain't easy, but I think the board's consensus is not shut down these public access areas until we got a better understanding of where we're going and how we're gonna get there. Is that pretty much?
That's the way I'm is. I mean, you shut down the assets, you shut down the public. You got public road there. I mean, it's not, the public got a right to be down there. That's the bottom line. It's a public beach, it's a public road, and then you got a private sector with a little private beach. But it's just a mixture. And
Well, Mr. Chairman, there's a right the public has for access to its own public lands and so on. However, there's also the responsibility of us as commission leaders to respect the life, health, and safety of our people. And we saw that when the United States was essentially shut down during this COVID crisis. We all had rights that were timed out for the circumstances at the time. And that's only what I'm saying, that this unique issue that we have right there on Alligator Drive with those 4 or 5 access points that are pencil line thin, I'm just saying right there is it's a testing point that's really stressed. And that's why I'm saying carve out and shut that area down only. And I hear what you're saying.
you can't shut that. You gonna shut the beach access. You're gonna shut the beach down, that's going to the beach.
In those little areas only, because of the experience we've had, it's just, they're antiquated, they're out of date, and they cannot stand the capacity any longer.
Then you're gonna move them to Grouper Lane and
I'm just talking about those.
I know when you shut them few down, then they gonna turn and start going down to them dead end roads and piling them full.
I understand.
I mean, if you shut them 5 down, when you turn down Grouper Lane, Tarpon Lane, and all of that, they gonna fill that dead end road full.
I see how it
But
can
last time I was
cascade.
down there, that Grouper Lane, they was all the way out to the highway on both sides. You couldn't even pull a car no further down.
Yeah, I saw
They was
that.
walking over the sand dunes, then you went on down to Tarpon Lane, and it was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, they had both of them roads slammed full. And whatever the rest of them names is going down through there, they was full.
Do we want to look at talking about the FSU old Marine Lab again, that potentially the county could acquire that?
But the people responded, they didn't want nobody down there. Because, we was talking about getting it for these oyster leases, for people to launch their boats, because that one dead-end road, whatever the name of that road is, can only accommodate 3 trucks and 3 trailers. And if you ain't careful, you're on private property again. But the state issued 40 or 50 or 60 leases down there without no infrastructure in place for these people.
I know.
I don't know if the people of Alligator Point wants to proceed that direction, because they don't want these people pulling these oyster boats down there to launch their boat. Again, it seems like they don't want nobody down there, even if you make facilities for them. They don't want nobody traveling down that road, but it's a county road. You either got to get on the game plan and you got to try to help accommodate and find a solution. You can't have everything your way. If we're trying to find a solution, then we all got to work together for that solution, whether you like it or whether you don't. If it's a solution or a partial solution to the problem, then you got to get on the bus and take a ride. I mean, you got to get on the train, you know. We're trying to find a solution. Looking at that a while ago, I'm saying, Lord, if we had restrooms right there and we had area to accommodate 30, 40 cars on the weekends, is that when most of this is happening, Mr. Bird? Is it
Yes,
on
sir.
the weekends?
And holidays, yes,
And then they can just walk to the beach. They ain't got to park in nobody's yard. They can walk back up that little access and back to a restroom. I mean, it just seems like it makes sense to me. Now, whether it makes sense to everybody down there is a whole nother ballgame. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. Well, Commissioner, what can I recommend? So we're in a workshop setting today, so we can't make any motions,
Yes,
make
sir.
any decisions. How about you, I mean, there's quite a few listening because they're commenting on live stream. So I guess my point is, what maybe you want to reach out to some of the callers that came up today and after, see between now, today, and the next, when we meet again on the 21st, if there's any slight consensus, any direction that we could go in, and then we could have a more shorter but more focused discussion on what a plan could be to move forward with at the next meeting. I think that's where we are now, because right now we're kind of getting to the point of spinning wheels here, because it's obvious the board doesn't want to close the access point, but they do want a solution.
Sure.
And I think now it's for you to reach back out to your constituents and say, okay, guys, you watched, you heard, you know, let's talk, and let's kind of
Yes.
get to a point.
This feedback at this workshop's been very valuable to me, and I really appreciate your
I mean,
input.
we can't shift the blame. That what, Mike, I guess, Mike, we just can't shift it from one area to the other.
Yeah.
Cause it's gonna be the same thing, just a different location.
That's what Commissioner Massey, yeah.
You can
I get what
you
he's
can
saying.
put closed signs on them this weekend, and they still gonna park there unless them fellas back there sit there all day, like Smokey said, and you can't afford them to sit all day, 'cause they're still gonna come. They're not gonna pay no attention to that sign. They going across there. Once they get 2 or 3 beer in them, they gone.
Yep. So is that a plan? I mean, does everybody agree with at least that?
Yeah.
Allow the Commissioner Bolt to reach out to his constituents, and then him and I could talk within the next 2 weeks, and we have something on my report to
You
start to
also-
go forward with.
You also ask them if they wanna do the private thing. Since they want us to close it, make it private. We'll see about that. I mean, but long as they got long as them 2 P's there, private and public, private plus public, you gonna have a bit of a problem until we saw, if we put the bathroom, the park, you can put a parking lot going up in the air and accommodate everybody going down there. And it's still gonna be a problem.
The other thing too, Mr. Chairman, you get, and this, I might not be accurate, but if you put a parking space down there for 100 cars, you probably ain't got enough beach.
I know.
If they all come and all of their cars are full.
Well,
You
we're
have
gonna put a
400
parking lot, there
people.
is no beach anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
They're gonna have to walk from there to one of these public accesses.
Right, but even there though, they still, if you put a 100-car parking lot, they're gonna fill that up.
Yeah.
And party in the parking lot, is that what you're saying?
Ain't no telling, ain't no telling, but they gonna fill that
It's gonna
up.
be a parking lot, a party parking lot?
They gonna fill that up, that's all I can say.
Then they'll be calling the sheriff wanting to come down there for that. So you need to have a realistic, holistic approach to what you're doing.
And
But the people at Alligator Point's got to buy in.
Yeah. You gotta let them know this 2020, not 1950 when they bought it. Or 19, you know, things done grow. And it's not gonna get no better. It's gonna get worse than that down there. 'Cause everybody going back telling their buddies, I found a bad beach.
Or a
And they
bad
coming.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reassure you that the folks at Alligator Point will work with me, and I know that they are willing to partner right here with this commission. So I'll work toward getting that consensus. We're all part of this, and we're all gonna work as a good family.
And if they think we can do what we wanna do with that old FSU Marine Lab, you may want to mention that
Yeah.
Chauffeur in Mumford again to see if we can.
Sure.
Yeah.
To hit-
We started,
Not only to help alleviate some of the problems they've caused by issuing all these leases without any infrastructure in place,
Yes, sir.
but it would also help alleviate some of these issues about having a place to park and a restroom,
Yep.
keeping them off of private property, and
we tried this once before. We done had a meeting with.
twice,
Yeah, yeah.
twice.
We
tried to
tried
get
it
that
with
done
Alligator, we went down to Alligator Point, we even, next time, we had the people to vote on it. Everything we come up with, they voted it down when it, but they steady saying the county not doing this, the county not doing it. But when they, anytime we ask them to put up the money for it, they always hollering private, it calls for privacy. It's called for privacy. Any way you go, and if you want it private, it calls. I mean, that's the only way I can say it, simple as that. I mean, if you want your own private doctor, it's gonna cost you more money. If you want anything, you get your own private, it costs more.
And it costs you.
That's right, it costs individuals who want it. Yeah, that's right. So, tell them to get real now, come in here and they want private, they pay. If they want mixed use, let's try to do better. We can come up, let's try to get something better going. But that ain't gonna be them, we close this, we close that, and you can't close that private down. I mean, it's open to the public. Then the public gonna come in here and wanna close us down.
Yep.
I don't know.
All
All
right.
right.
I'm willing to try to work towards a common solution.
Yeah, I'm willing for that.
But it ain't gonna be a one-way street, it's gonna
No,
be
it
a
ain't
two-way
gonna-
street.
Yeah.
We
We
all
got-
got to work together.
Mhm. We got to come up with a solution together.
Oh, you got it in color now.
Yeah, this one wasn't done back in 2001, Commissioner.
Yeah, this is, St. George Island.
Okay, so let's talk about St. George Island. So here we go, and I promise that I don't plan for this discussion to take long. I'm not trying to shortchange St. George Island in any way, Commissioner. That's not what I'm trying to do. But
Come on now.
what I'm looking for here is basically a plan from the board that I could start to work with both the Business Association and with the Civic Club of St. George Island. As to what Commissioner Parrish had asked for, he said, can you get civic help with this? Will they contribute? Will they be part of the project? But before I can go to any of these two organizations, I would like some kind of consensus from the board, a plan. So currently, let me just walk up here and borrow this microphone. So, I'm probably gonna get in your way, I apologize. So, here we are, Commissioner. So so this is the parking lot, the county's parking lot right now. You guys can see that, Roy. So the vendors gather right here. That is owned by a bank. This lot, this one, and these three lots right here. It's that big dirt area. This is a donut guy, if that helps everybody, you know. I think it's a bank owned these three lots. The county owns all this property, right here, right on the top, okay? If you guys remember a few years ago, it's a different board.
That's when I first got elected.
Oh, it was? When I
Very
came-
first thing.
Okay, that's right, I'm sorry. I came to the board and I had a plan, not truly engineered, but designed by Preble Rich, I think at the time it was Preble Rich, now Dewberry, where I was able to get 20 parking spots right here with drainage. 20 extra parking spots right here, that area, county-owned property with drainage. It was turned down for a number of reasons. So my point is, to me, the plan would be to go back to this for parking and approach the bank and see if they're willing to sell these lots for additional parking. And then I go to USDA and I say, hey, they have loans, well, they have grants, maybe grant loan hybrid system, and see if they're willing to pay the price for these 3 lots. So basically, all this would be additional parking for St. George Island. That is something I probably could take to the business association and to the civic club and say, hey, we have a plan. You know, how do you guys feel about this? And have a discussion with them about it and see how we go forward. That is my pitch to the board. So now for you guys to tell me what you think.
I think that's good. Michael, I can tell you also there are several other pieces of land that we own in the business district that Alan made sure to include in the stormwater plan that we're trying to develop for the business district. So they can be done as part of that stormwater management plan. So by creating other parking areas, we're not creating stormwater problems.
Okay.
It's being done in conjunction.
Okay.
The only thing I can say that is an issue in particular on the island, it applies countywide, but it's an issue right there where we're at,
Yeah.
is what do you do with people that are vending? Because even if you create more parking there, if you just increase 5 vendors, you taking away the parking you just try to get. So what I would like to see, how the board feels, we own the little U shape there, close to the, going south of our current parking lot.
You're talking, right, not this.
No, down.
Oh, right here, where the
Yeah.
trees, the palm trees are.
We
Right here.
we own that little U there, that's
Which,
part
I'm
of our
sorry, I'm in your
property.
way.
That's part of our property.
Yeah.
If we're gonna try to do that, why can't we try to do, if there's space there for 6 total vendors or 4 or whatever, why can't we create a vendors area?
Like Venice Plaza, right here.
And then instead of just any county right of way being for vending, they have to vend in that spot if they're gonna be on the island. I mean, and if it's only 6, it might develop into a thing where there's 20 want to do it, so we'll receive bids and
Do it by
award to the
lottery.
6 highest.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
But all I'm saying is, Commissioner of that district, if we create more parking there and we multiply vendors,
Yeah.
we've not created any more parking.
Yeah.
We just gave the vendors a smoother place to park.
Yeah, this, based on what I'm asking, this and these 3 lots right here would have to be all striped parking
Yes.
only.
Yes.
Pretty much the way it is over here.
Yes.
Them vendors, wait a minute. How much them vendors paying?
Was it 300 a year?
Well, the problem is, Commissioner, vendors only pay when they go on county property. So the vendors that are using this area right here pay 0.
Because it's on private property.
It's on private property.
They trespass essentially?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, the attorney's right, I don't know what relationship they have with the property owner.
I see.
So I shouldn't say that. Now, if they park up here or along here, yeah, they gotta pay a fee, which,
300 a year, isn't it?
yeah,
And it's not very much.
yeah. But,
Time for you to go.
I mean, I get Commissioner Jones saying right here would be the perfect area for vending, and then parking, and additional parking, and then I'll talk to Perry, I don't know about over here. I don't know how the stormwater would fit in over here, just where, Alan was talking about.
It's in the business district, yes, sir,
Okay,
from 3rd
I'll
to
have to
3rd.
get with him and see
Yeah.
what he,
There are multiple spots that we already own.
but there is a plan, 'cause, I guess, that
Why
is
don't we
the
make it-
pitch to this board, and I wanna know, can I take it and run with it, and then meet with the civic club and the business
The
association?
vendors ain't gonna wanna be down there because they're not visible.
Well, why we make it property for vendors?
Well,
They're not gonna wanna
We're
be
giving
down there because they're
property
not
to 'em
visible
now.
to anybody. People, traffic on the road, on
Well-
West Beach Drive, they're not visible to anybody.
I mean, signage might help, and saying vendor plaza this way, and you get the, you.
What is that, 25 foot?
I don't know.
Right there.
Right in here?
What is that? I mean,
That's where right now, people use this to park, and then they use the access point right here to get to the beach. This is where those palm trees are, and people just pull in there and park sometimes. This is like a overage from here.
Okay, I ain't never seen nobody parking in there really.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I have. But, yeah.
But they got certain vendor use it, and any vendor can use.
Use here,
Anyway, I mean,
again, Commissioner, if the vendors find a private property that they can use either by a contract, an agreement, something, then the way the ordinance is written, they don't have to pay the county. They only pay the county when they use county property to.
I'm talking about down there we talking about.
Down in here? Right now, there's just parking in here. This is no.
That's county property?
It's county
Yes.
property. That the vendors, no, I'm sorry, no vendors use there. That's parking overage. When this first fills up, that's the second place people go. And after that fills up,
So how many feet wide is that? How long is it?
that I don't know, Commissioner, I'll have to find out.
Do they got room to even put a trailer in there and turn around and come out? Does all three of them have? If you
Yeah.
put three in there, is there room for them
I
to
think
get
it's
in
enough
there?
room to design it where people can pull in, and then they can they'll be able to pull out.
But there's
Yeah.
only room for like three?
Uh,
Well, we don't know because we don't know.
I don't
what
know. I
dimensions
gotta
are.
go look at the dimensions a lot
Because
better.
usually they got a vehicle and they got a trailer behind them.
Yeah, I won't be able to answer that question right now.
And if you issue 10 permits and you can only get 3 in there, first come, first served?
Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that. I think if we do a true vendors plaza, we label them and say this is spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, 4, 5, however we can fit. And then if we do a lottery and you win spot 2, then you get spot 2 and that's it.
But you're talking about taking all the vendors off the right of ways?
Off of the county right away, and if we could purchase this,
Off of all county right of ways?
no, take that back.
Because some of them are on down that way.
Yes, no, let me take that back. No, I'm not trying to get vendors, because I got in trouble the last time. I'm not going to take vendors off of any right of way. What I'm saying is that we dedicate this for parking, and so you'll have to find somewhere else to set up your vendor. Be a vendor if you're not gonna be, if we do create a little plaza here and we do it. I'm not taking anybody off of anything, I'm just saying, this is parking, all this is parking, dedicated parking for the beach.
And Michael, just to be clear, that was just a thought. I'm not married to that idea.
Or you mean about the vending?
Yeah, if
thing?
the board wanted to, for us to go ahead and pave that area instead of leaving it dirt
Yes.
and make it dedicated
more
parking, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, if we're not careful, we're gonna make parking lots and increase vendors in those parking lots.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Because their argument's gonna be, it's the county right of way.
Well.
Doesn't matter if it's in a parking lot, that's gonna be their
the same
argument.
argument for over here, but we don't allow vending in the main, in the main parking lot, I mean. But we could prevent that. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
cross that
but,
bridge when we
you know.
get there, you
Has
know.
it got to be quite a few vendors over there?
No, not really.
Because Mr. Dale was about the only one, used to work the first one over there, wasn't
Yeah, he's still going over there, and some of Mr. Doug's family's still doing his
Yeah.
over there. And then you have a couple of people that are doing food. Presently, that's about all there are, but
The problem's gonna be, Michael, when you don't allow vending where it's always been, where Doug had his place.
Mhm.
But everybody else is in a different location, gets to keep where they're at. And now you're treating this vendor different than you're treating those vendors.
you're either gonna have parking or you're not.
Yeah, we have to decide what's more important, parking or vending.
And those 3 lots you're talking about buying are not gonna be $25,000 a lot.
Oh, no.
No.
Not in that.
No, sir.
St. George
Yeah,
Island.
Not
St.
in that
George Island,
district.
yes, sir.
Michael, while we're talking about parking, I don't know what we can do, but in talking with Mark and different people asking Mark, all the different beach access points we have on the island,
Yes,
I think the county owns like 100 feet there. So most of them have an area, a decent area around them, but it's not the full 100 feet. But the problem we're having is just like we're having over at Alligator Point. If people go down to 7th Street to the beach access point, and that's full right there by the actual walkover, they're parking down 7th Street all the way back to the other road. So
That's still county right away though?
it is, but I still go back to my comment I made earlier. We could put 2,000 parking spaces on St. George Island, and you're still gonna have to have parking enforcement. They either can park there or they can't park there, it's still going to be an issue. Unless we just say it doesn't matter, they're in the right of way, they can be there. You know, I just don't know that's the attitude the board wants to take. It is an issue. And this summer more than any, and I think some of it's exactly what Commissioner Bolt said, you know, minus the COVID-19 lockdown, when people got out, they're out, you know, so we went from nothing to 100%, and people weren't ready for that.
Again, Commissioner, so what I'm asking, is it something you guys have any appetite for me to go talk to the Civic Club and the Business Association? Because like Commissioner Parrish said, he wants a buy-in. He wants to know if the Civic Club, and he didn't say those particular, but that's what he meant, I think. He's sitting right there. Would these organizations be part of the plan, and if they can help in any way financially? Hey, you know, maybe in kind or something. But I'm trying to figure out if the board is good with me just having conversations. Not looking for a motion. I just kind of need a consensus. I don't want to go talk to them if you guys are not interested in doing something like this.
I'm good with it, but I know parking's an issue in that district, you know, in the business district.
Parking in the bathroom gonna be your biggest problem.
Yeah, now, we're going out for.
Anyway, a beach
Yeah, the bathrooms are currently out to bid.
Yeah, the new bathroom building is currently out to bid, and hopefully we'll be opening that soon. I can't remember the date.
Yeah, that gonna be your problem for parking in the bathroom.
We'll go talk to them and see what you can come up with, and we can figure out something.
Yeah, especially if you're talking about doing a USDA grant. I mean, if that's
Grant,
possible.
I don't know. But now Commissioner Parrish has brought up a good point. In my conversations now, we gotta have an answer for the people the vendors. That has to be part of the conversation, so I wanna make sure you guys are good with that too. I just can't, like, you kick them out, because last time, you remember this room, well, anyway, so.
Yeah, but in that discussion, we were talking about doing away with vending, period.
Well, I was talking about moving them, not doing away. That,
No,
yeah.
we're talking about doing them away from county right of way, period.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
That's not what we're
and trying to get,
discussing.
yeah, that's not what we're discussing here.
That might be a different location, but again, you gotta have parking.
Yes.
I mean, you go over there right now, I know July 4th was probably the busiest weekend. There's literally not anywhere on your map, north of West Gorey Drive, that there wasn't cars in front of BJ's, parked down the other deal, parked in they were everywhere.
Yeah.
There were cars everywhere.
Mr. Chairman?
They're gonna be everywhere they can park.
How do you feel about it, Mr. Chairman, before
I think it's time to go home.
I agree. I agree, but how do you feel about me talking to these two associations and see how they feel about it? And then I bring that information back to you.
You know, you can bring it back, but I don't care. We'll have something on the table, I mean, to talk about. Yeah, it'd be fine with me to talk to them.
Commissioner Massey, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Commissioner Parrish?
Yeah.
If I include a vendor discussion as to what they think would be a good solution, a fair solution, is what I probably should say.
Yeah, and you got that other property we bought from Walter Armstead that could be turned into parking.
True.
And people say, well, it's a long way from the beach. What is it, 2 blocks?
Yeah.
Hey,
So you pull down here and you drop your people off in your ice chest or whatever, and you go back down there and park. 2 blocks for a young man to walk back to the beach. It's not a long ways.
Yeah.
Commissioner, you just created a new business. Somebody can have a shuttle service. How about that?
I told
See?
you I was gonna run the shuttle.
I'll
service.
bet. Oh, boy, that'd be
Really?
great.
And Commissioner Bolt, you're good with that?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right.
Yeah.
Commissioner,
Big
that's,
golf cart, $10, I'll take
As long
you
as
down
Commissioner
there,
Parrish
$10,
is
I'll bring
driving.
you back.
I got my marching orders. And Chairman, if there's no other discussion, that's the only thing that was on the agenda. That's it.
But somebody could.
All right.
Well, this concludes the workshop of the Franklin County Commission. Adjourned.